Hello. Gonna do a quick energy reading. Look, it's the sun and the Six of Swords. Going somewhere new for happiness, conceivably. No, my guiding prompt for this reading is all about hidden energy. I want 3 cards from the Animal Spirits deck and then 3 cards from the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot to clarify. So it's only going to be a 6-card spread. I'm sure I'll be moved to pull a couple extras, but I'm going to get 1 card from the Rebel deck, which has those like really quippy, direct, blunt messages. And then I'll wrap it up. I posted a very long ramble from yesterday that I don't think anybody's gonna watch because it's all over the place for me. Which is saying something because I'm all over the place a lot as far as sticking to my messages. But let's see what we have here, okay? Hidden energy. Something that's super bizarre, in my opinion, today, along the lines of like a synchronicity or a message from the universe, is that not 1, but 2 people used a very, very specific analogy. Or no, it's a simile. A simile. Describing people and their mannerisms like they are vegetables, because when you cook vegetables and root vegetables, they get softer and they get more flavorful. So one person was referring to sweet potatoes and the other person was referring to vegetables in general, but both of them, unrelated people who have no idea who they are, to each other, said to me today they decided to use like the softening of vegetables and like root vegetables to describe things, talking about people becoming more seasoned and sweeter and softer with heat, the application of heat. But if we know anything about heat, then we know that the molecular activity is speeding up. And so there's a lot of layers to that, metaphorically, symbolically, but like I was like, what? Like, I can't believe you just said that, because it was like 3 hours after the first incident. And then I also had a crazy experience today. I shared this in my long ramble from yesterday, but I had to make a quick stop this morning to the mechanic to get something fixed. And because they kind of messed my car up on accident when I was there the other day, so I had to go back. And I was opening up a message from somebody. It was a group email. Like, this is not really relevant to the collective, but I'm just sharing it before I get into this. It was just the craziest synchronicity, because I looked at the email and it's a group email. This is relating to my work, but it's still a pretty well-sized company and I live in a pretty large city. And the email had been sent hours and hours ago, like 16 hours ago probably, but like I was standing on the corner of the mechanic outside while they fixed it on my phone, just like waiting so I could do my morning commute and everything. Open the email from a specific individual out of like, I don't know, 40 different people who it could have been. It was the exact same person, drove by in their car, not really somebody I talked to or anything, right when I read their email. Like I saw them. It just so bizarre. I was like, what do I make of this? Yeah, so strange stuff like that today. And if you also have been thinking about how vegetables and roots become more flavorful when you cook them, then this reading is for you. Because life is a mystery. We don't often know why our synchronicities may occur. That's number 8, Bobcat Spirit. Then we have Electric Eel Spirit, bring your ideas to life. 24 or 6. Then we have 62, another 8. Turtle Spirit, slow and steady, wins the race. Okay, so this is hidden energy. I'm not getting the vibe, if you will, off of these cards as I'm getting from the energy that I'm picking up on. So I'm a little surprised, I'll be honest, that this is our crew today, Bobcat, Electric Eel, and the Turtle. I feel like this is not necessarily the hidden energy, so maybe our clarifiers will shed some light on that. So clarifying, life is a mystery, Bobcat Spirit. We have Justice. Okay. Mysterious in that things are working out in ways that we could not possibly fathom, and things are so deeply interrelated that we don't necessarily fully grasp how impactful or influential or meaningful even the smallest of things can be, right? Kind of like the butterfly effect and 9 degrees of separation. I mean, it's lovely to think about the fact that even if you individually, personally, only know 10 people, I think most people know more than 10 people, but even if you only knew 10 people and you said something to each one of them that inspired them or made them feel good, and like, even if they don't say like, oh, guess what, you told them, it doesn't have to come from you. The fact that they also know 10 people, and then you've got 100 people and they might tell their friends what it is that you said. And that's how we affect the collective and understand our web. I mean, like, kind of. It's also instantaneous, the way we affect one another within our energy. But I'm getting this kind of like, with justice card, justice is about fairness and equality. That's sort of what it means. So knowing that when things seem like, the questions of life, why is it happening? Why is it happening this way? Why would that be the outcome? Because there's something, perhaps the hidden energy, if this is almost like a pick a card, right? Which couplet are you going to resonate with the most? I don't think it is, though. It's kind of just the general scene, but waiting to see how certain things are going to unfold, because we don't, and we never will, but we don't really have the ability to see through all of the mysterious loopholes that are keeping events in any type of suspension right now. Let's see what's clarifying electric eel spirit. Bring your ideas to life. Temperance. So what I'm getting is that this really has to do with a deeper understanding of who we are without certain husks, layers and aspects of ourselves that we haven't navigated the world without for very long, like new embodiments or like changed ways or like moving into new chapters, perfecting new patterns and things, so that if you've been in the process of making big changes in your life, I think that a lot of the changes that have been done have been helping us to go through sort of like mini ego deaths and reckonings with different layers of ourselves, because it's only when we kind of like come nose to nose with it, because it's up at the surface, right? You've cleared out the rest of the stuff around suppression or not being able to even have the awareness around a certain pattern. It's because it's below other things. But when things are finally available to be acknowledged, that is only when they're available to be cleared out or healed. But that is when people tend to either, I'm just thinking about things that we don't want to acknowledge, like feeling like the lower vibrational emotions around like shame or guilt or anything like that. So when you start to get into a space of feeling those types of emotions, that that's because when you feel it, you heal it. And that's, the purpose. You've gotten to a point where you're ready to clear out something else, as long as you can remind yourself that that's part of it. Even though things don't always feel the best when we're acknowledging certain things, that's part of it, to free yourself from it. So bring your ideas to life. That whole message is actually, it's interesting that that's what I'm talking about now that I think about it, because it's temperance and bring your ideas to life. It's about this, it's more of like the Empress energy, right? Because of the egoistic nature around urgency is counterintuitive to this, with balance and like a give and a take and the infinity loop ever flowing temperance energy. Knowing that when we can kind of like automatically temper, or at least, things happen in life and sometimes we do have reactive moments, but in general, being able to de-escalate those with a lot more skill than we maybe were this time last year or this time 3 years ago. Everybody's moving on different timelines and paces right now. So I like this. I think this is promising, and I love that our clarifiers have been major arcana here and here. Now for slow and steady wins the race. I mean, it's, I like it. First reason is because it's 8-8. 8 of Pentacles is also about that, you know. Slow and steady wins the race. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. A lot of people in today's world are just after like the outward appearance of certain levels of success and attaining certain things and just pushing, you know, instead of like the dedication of the fact that it's nice to commit yourself to a long project and put in work and see it come to fruition and have the patience and the dedication to do that in all sorts of fields, you know, professional, but like creative and personal and all of this. It's the knowing that there really isn't anything out there that's going to like fix you. You know, we oftentimes set these things out in front of us. We carrot and stick ourselves. And it's like, well, you know, then once I leave this job and I move into that one, it'll be different, blah, blah, blah. Oftentimes the manifested world, it just houses all of our patterns and our things. You know, this is why when people say like, well, I'm just going to start over. I'm going to move across the country. You kind of eventually, you know, your problems end up catching up to you if you are in avoidance mode. And a lot of people tend to think that they can just like move and keep their, of course they remain stimulated. They see new things, they meet new people, but they're just stirring the same karmic cycles because they end up not being able, they simply don't have the ability to not recreate those cycles because of the subconscious underwriting that's keeping them active. And that, I think, comes from, well, let me go back to the thing around the fact that, like, when we accomplish one goal, we're closer to it than when we first conceived of it. So it's almost like, you know, always celebrate those wins, because sometimes people, it's like never satisfied, you know? It got closer and closer and closer while you were on your way to achieving it. So when you achieved it, it was like, okay, now I want it to be like this. I saved this much money. Well, now I got to make it this, you know, and you're never there. So within that, it sort of all falls down, it collapses, and we're always there. We're always there. Yes, we have to expend our energy and rest and rejuvenate. You know, there's different modes, there's different ways of being in life. And a fulfilling way of being is taking it slowly, contemplating your actions, making moves. Like, I'm also with Pentacles and stuff, but there's a message here around finances, right? Don't just like, you know, frivolous spending. Like, treat your money like it's going out into the world to affect positive change. I don't mean like, if you want a cup of coffee, buy a cup of coffee, and it's not like, buy $3.59. More so like being on top of why you spend money, you know, and what your needs are and how your energy feels when you think you're in need, and how we can really transcend a lot of the scarcity lack trauma in the collective right now by meeting our own needs, like spiritually, emotionally, because then our physical needs are met a lot more easily as well. And yeah, I'm also seeing somebody like, I used to do this. If I was like kind of strapped for cash and not really buying groceries, but just like grabbing little snacks and stuff, if I did get a nice payday and then I would go and buy like $400 worth of groceries because I could, but it was so impractical because then like perhaps I'd eat through my groceries, but I wasn't thinking, you know, these days I tend to spend very little amount of money on food and groceries because I've figured out, you know, how to be incredibly frugal with like cooking and stuff, you know, and like how to make things, like I simply have to go more often because I can't do big grocery shops and let things go bad. But it's just this slow adaptive thing that's been the result of making the wrong choices and being impulsive and just like, oh, I have money, I need food, this is what I do, and I see all these things and I think, but it's just, I've seen so many times that that's not the way for me. So anyway, something around, and now this is sort of like a foursome as well, like this, bringing your ideas to life. Like, I love this because this is almost like 5D energy for me. And then this is what we're doing down on the ground, right? Boots on the ground. We're actually working through it. We're not ever, you can't really, I'm seeing burning the candle at both ends. That might resonate with somebody. But this is the real world. And it's counterintuitive in that the energy is like a whipping. I hear wind howling, like it's like that a little bit, but it's also got this scalloped edges. If the sound of wind could have scalloped edges, that's how it sounds. Almost like it's like not wind whistling by in like a straight torrent, but it's like wrapping around things. I don't know. Yeah. So we feel stabilized. I like this. It's giving kite and anchor, right? This is like a heavy energy, slow, steady, slow, grounded, pentacles. And then temperance, I like to think of her again as like a zero gravity thing because she's got this water that's flowing down and it flows back up. It's an electric eel. It's basically mimicking the water in her cups, It's just a ribbon of a feather of a form of a body. Formless, free, not in that grounded, dense, third dimensional reality. It's where anything can happen. If you want to conceive of a new idea, you can render it as big as you want. Everything transpires from the upper dimensions down. That's why God, life source energy, is the top. There's no more, right? It all collapses. There's just levels and layers of separation through all the different dimensional realities until, which is kaleidoscopic and somewhat infinite. But it's always transpiring down until our realm, right? Where it shows up. So the beautiful news is that we have plenty of time to witness the circumstances of our lives and the things that are happening and adjust and make sure that we're still deciding that we want to bring in and anchor what it is that's starting to show up. We can always adjust the weightless 0G space and then allow it to like slowly track in a different direction. And we're still applying that day by day. Slow, steady progress. So just for the heck of it, I'd like to get some clarity on this situation because I feel like this is a little bit more of its own thing. Life is a mystery with the Justice card. Yeah, the numbers 6 and 8, 666, 888, 868, synchronicities right now. All of these numbers are like 4 6s and 8s. Okay, so what's clarifying this? And from the bottom. Okay, so I had asked for hidden energy, right? Life is a mystery. We don't always understand it. We're not meant to. But we can be frustrated or confused at times when we don't. And with the 7 of Swords, kind of like that, the sneaky energy, I feel like it's this, perhaps something around concealment. So not necessarily like stealing or thievery or dishonesty that's super, super overt, but also just what we're not aware of in some way. And that ties in because it's like there is something, it's almost like justice is sitting here. We cannot see the fact that this character is here, but they are there and they do affect the dynamic. It's funny, it like leans out. Like he's like, I'm not here, but it is, right? There's something part of this scenario. And what I'm hearing is that you might be in whatever situation that if you're starting to think, what I'm talking about, in your situation, you could be intuitively aware of it. Like you're aware of it, but you're not aware of it. You don't have any non-psychic, non-intuitive confirmation about this extra party, okay? From the top to clarify it. The world. There's a lot of different interpretations for this. And we took the Queen of Pentacles too, Cat spirit, justice, the Queen of Pentacles. So I do like this. It's like very, very good ambassadors flanking the mystery of life. It's like we're in good hands, right? The thing that we're not aware of is a smaller energy. It's on its way out. The card is even leaning away to distinguish itself as separate from this energy. And if the world is clarifying that Seven of Swords, I mean, it's almost like things could, like your whole world could change when this gets sorted out. When this, stabilizes, it changes your whole world. And I'm not saying like I kick it off like it doesn't. It could be something coming in that changes your whole world. Again, I feel like it's about the concealment, the not havingness of the mystery in its entirety. Life wouldn't be interesting if we had or knew the mystery in its entirety. That's precisely why we take on the physical form and agree to undergo this and have this spiritual amnesia. And all of our ancient cosmic memories and rememberings are this distant, melody that we can hear, and it starts to play stronger and stronger as we walk through life, or until we transition. And then we're like, oh yeah, it was all a dream. This was the avatar. This is the place where we live with these different rules, universal laws, the elementals, all of it. I will say that if you, never mind, enough about me and my stuff and what I'm doing. I just want to deliver some messages for the people that aren't so riddled with my personal stuff. So yeah, that's going to be it. All right, I'm going to clarify this just a little bit more. The other thing is that if this has to do with a very close or small scale dynamic where it's just you and another person, or you and a group of people, or like you and your family, or whatever it is, justice concerned that you don't quite have. It could be you and yourself too. But swords are about truth, but they're also about the mental activity. It was 2-2-2-2, and I looked up, it's 4-4, back to 8 again. 7 though, and it's an odd number. And what we do know about this position is that it's not optimal. It's not ideal. There's something about this that could have been done differently. And I think that it has to do with not necessarily a compromising of the truth, but what can tend to happen in our heads when we mull things over too much. We think. It really churns through a lot of your energy. And honestly, I think you're bearing on reality, because we can start to spin yarns that don't exist. We posit suppositions about things that we think must be true, but really that's when the ego is coming back to feed you delusions and this kind of overthinking, spinning the gears. That's not productive. So there could be something hidden, but it's hidden by the cloud of overthinking that's in your mind. Or perhaps somebody is not giving you the full truth about something, but it's because maybe they're a little anxious or overthinking and not able to. I don't believe this person is aware of that. So it's not like they're intentionally holding out on you or keeping secrets. It's just where they're at, right? In their own comfortability around what they can let themselves admit and how they need to process. But if I were to speak to them, I would say, I think that when we get into those, torrents, only so much thinking is productive. And when you keep things inside, right, without processing or thinking, like if I'm overanalyzing stuff, I vent it out in a voice memo, or I write it down and then it's out. So yeah, something there. I think I just saw a bunch of frenetic zigzags, like one of those 80s patterns, or like a carpet at a bowling alley, or like the upholstery on a tour bus from 10 years ago, with zigzags and a big orange circle, those patterns. That is how the overthinking feels right now in the collective. So it's just pretty persistent, but it comes with these like zings, like an overreaction, maybe a little bit here, there, again, like reactivity and volatility. It's very roller coastery. But I'm excited for kind of the turn of this weekend, moving into the true lunar new year. And I'm going to cut the deck to get our Rebel deck reminder, which, like, brace yourself. It is. They're always pretty blunt messages. I can never pick from the top or bottom because they're double-sided, and I don't like that because I don't ever want to feel like I catch a glimpse of whatever cards I'm being guided to pull. It feels compromised. But since I can see the message, this top card on the tails of what I just finished saying, it says stop obsessing. You are not the fucking center of the universe. I don't think that the person or you in Seven of Swords energy thinks that you're the center of the universe, but that goes two ways. We can think that we're the center of the universe, like everything we do matters so much and it's like so fabulous, or like it's a problem, like it's going to affect people so much and we need to, like, in a bad way, just self-involved. And I did talk about this in the very long video. That's the most recent one that I just did before this reading, around people pointing fingers at other people and being like, that's not a good way to be. But at the same time, it's also super normal to not really be able to, for lack of not having had to, think outside our own existences and stuff. I mean, people are in survival mode. And when that's the case, it's just very hard to think in any type of altruistic or interconnected way. But going back to the main message with this, not so much the center of the universe stuff, but there's like an obsessive energy, right? Around something that you're thinking about, or something that who knows, a sticking point. But I said I was going to cut to get the deck. Let's just clarify that obsession and that sticking point. I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a butterfly again around, and I say again because butterflies are a big theme for me if you're new. And what I said before around like the mini ego deaths, to be able to be weightless enough, truly, spiritually, right? Because like I was talking about with the groundedness of the Eight of Pentacles and the slow and steady wins the race. If I were to say slow and fast and heavy and light, we have these correlations, right? These spectrums, light and dark, good and bad. There's binaries all over the world about certain things. And so it's sort of like we've been, I see myself looking like a rag doll falling down the stairs. Painful. But because I'm a rag doll, it's like you just kind of, gravity has, the series that we've been going through, we could call it energetic cycle. Like a pinwheel just cartwheeling down these stairs, like unstoppable, quick levels of transformation that we've been undergoing. Almost like how it feels if you fall down a flight of stairs. Because like once you slip a little bit, like your whole, like it happens in like slow-mo, but you can't stop it, right? That's kind of how it's been to be able to get to this point of like feeling a little bit more weightless. Feeling a little bit more weightless, letting those tumbles, not, you know, they're not perfected per se, but they're a little bit less cartwheely, ragdolly. We're more so like oscillating in a and I see it's the scene from the Triwizard Tournament, the fourth movie, what's it called? Blanking. Goblet of Fire, thank you. Harry Potter, the movie, when they use the port key to go to the Quidditch World Cup, and Cedric Diggory and his dad are like pedaling out of the sky like little pros, and everyone else is like blah. That's kind of like our different phases, right? We were like blah, and now we're pedaling on our air bikes a little bit more. agilely, with a little bit more agility and a little bit less like force or effort, right? I always think, like, if people are incredibly insecure or uncertain about how certain things are or what is true, I mean, any type of seeking from outside implies some type of, and I'm not saying you have to have all the answers or that you do, we can't, but all that we can do, if we have this deep pit of uncertainty about anything that's leading to a certain amounts of obsession and overthinking, is like, well, what do you know, how do you feel? It's hard to talk about when I don't know the specific situation, but like, how would you feel if certain versions that you fear or that you hope for are true, you know? And then what's your truth? It's not up to us or you or anybody to try to plan out hypothetical scenarios around things that haven't happened yet, because then we're just completely activated for no reason. And it makes sense to our logical minds because we're like, here we are on Earth, navigating, doing things, but it's never going to change, right? We can choose to slow that all down. Slow it way down. And it's like, maybe the pace of your life will still continue, but what you give yourself is like the inner stillness around just like taking beats around stuff, you know, or even being able to realize when we're like, okay, I trust. I trust. Like, I trust that when I get to where I'm going, I don't have to have anything. And that could be whatever, a conversation, an important meeting, a date, whatever you want. When you get to where you're going, you don't have to have anything necessarily prepared or rehearsed, right? That overactive mental activity of trying to curate or make things a certain way because we think that that's how we want things. Like, honestly, I think that some people almost even mistakenly manifest this way, right? Where we're like, well, I'm manifesting it, but then you kind of like force or push it because you want it to be like that. Like, that's not manifestation. That's not being detached, and that's not seeing clearly. It's like your life and the universe provides for you the very best and with the most potential for miracle when you don't have ulterior motives or hidden agendas, and you can always daydream about what you want and do the guided action that you're guided to take. But you're truly just letting every moment surprise you, you know, you and yourself too. And you just take, I'm seeing the Fool card, you just take leaps of faith. You just go for it. It's such a free and embodied way of living because we find ourselves, you know, neither here nor there. We're able to surf and navigate the various ups and downs at any given point throughout any given day. I think that just in really complicated times, you know, we can have, I just always say things can be both and. Things can be both and they always are. Our human language is simply not equipped, and it never has been, to talk about what it's like to be alive. And it keeps getting hijacked. Oh no, what's our card? I mean, I cut the deck, so I'm sorry to do this, folks, but our message is you look like a shit show. You're a hot mess. Fact. Clean yourself up. Now, I mean, you might be relatively put together. I mean, somebody looking at me would not call me a shit show. Today, I'm in my business attire. I look professional. It's clean, classy, keeping it simple. However, my bathroom is a hot mess. My bedroom is currently a hot mess. When I got home from work today, I smashed a glass thing. If you listen to me talk before, I don't like broken glass, but I didn't do what I usually do and avoid it. Well, actually, I've learned I don't typically avoid the broken glass. But anyway, I picked it up. There's a lot of, it's almost like the energy has been this way where we're being, with the wormhole and all this other stuff, we're not being like, I never like to say tested, but we are going through it as a collective. And so I think that there's something that has given, as in something's got to give for a lot of people. And so if it's your physical upkeep, whatever, your personal self-care in whatever way you partake in that, getting the right amount of sleep, trying to eat in some, a certain amount of balance or moderation. I mean, the idea of balance is pretty mythical, honestly, because there are some days at certain points in my cycle where I'm like, I will consume 2 bags of beef jerky today because I need the iron. I want the protein. It's time to do that. But it's very out of balance. One sitting, 2 bags of beef jerky. Is it balanced? Well, in the cycle of my diet, of my minerals, I have perfected almost my intuitive eating so that that's what balance looks like for me. But when we take too many notes and cues from other people around how things need to be in general, like the freaking food pyramid, then we might not be hearing and feeling our specific cues around eating. But anyway, it could be just like letting things get really sloppy within your home and needing to tidy up, but there was a message around that too. So I wish that hadn't come out because I don't want to say that. I feel like I'm telling you that you're a hot mess, you need to clean yourself up. But honestly, if you know that you've been like that, then and you do need to kind of tighten up, a little bit, just kind of like touch base and tidy up, or at least like for me, how this can manifest sometimes is that things just get away from me. And I haven't like I'm very pen to paper. A lot of my organizational habits, obviously manifestation things, so many things I do by writing things out or using my hand, not computer or anything like that, but like lists and stuff or drawings. And if I haven't done that, or I don't have that slate of like active Post-its and stuff all good to go, then I need to take a beat and create that for myself. Because when I don't have that, I don't have my ideas outside of my mind, and then I do start to miss things, right? And again, it's like when we get a little bit too far away from being grounded, then it's a bigger effort to have to come back, and then we tend to experience more discomfort on our way back. But we also learn, so there's no right or wrong decisions. There's just your free will and your continued understanding of what it means to be able to exercise it in a way that feels good for you. So I'm sending everybody good energy today. And I hope that now's a lucky time for you. Okay, bye.